Thank you, Representative Burrows. I'd like to ask you about the money part of this bill. When we sent it out of here, there was an excellent amendment by Representative Moody that would have increased the basic allotment.
School safety allotment, yeah.
I'm sorry, the safety allotment by $90.28. It comes back here. The Senate cut out the $90 and just kept the 28-cent increase. Can you speak to why the drastic cut in the per student funding for safety allotment?
So I look at it a little bit differently, and I think we had this conversation yesterday. The school safety allotment, I believe, was started in 2019. We are now currently more than tripling the amount of money that's going into the school safety allotment, which I assume will be in perpetuity. I can't imagine any future legislatures ever wanting to reduce the school safety allotment. So whereas before we had $100 million of hard money going into the school safety allotment, under this bill we actually expanded it to $330 million going to the school safety allotment. What we had preferred and wanted to do in the House as it left here was take the entire $1.4 billion of new money that's going into school safety and put it all into the school safety allotment. I think there was some concern about not having a little more oversight and having one-time grant money. So $1.1 billion of that 1.4 is actually going to be held for one-time grant money to try to get the facilities where they need to be.
My concern with that is that the TEA on Friday adopted new rules for safety and security in schools, where they had previously estimated it would cost school districts $2.1 billion. And so those are costs that my guess that the districts are going to have to fund, if not be subject to potentially a conservator if they're not able to meet that. And if the TEA has sole discretion about the vast majority of that money we're putting into school safety, school districts could be left out to not have the money they need to cover these expenses.
So there's also, I point out, another $400 million that was actually approved through budget execution coming into this session. I think many of that's still available. So if you look at the $1.5 billion of money that's actually going to be available to improve school districts, that is very close, plus the other $330 million here. So I'm not aware of the 2.1 number, but I add all that up, I've got $1.83 billion of new money that's actually available to actually improve our schools and do school safety.
But dependent now on the TEA commissioner, a bureaucrat in Austin, as opposed to giving the local control to our school district to decide what's needed for their school.
Well, I think that's a very different way I would look at it, because obviously what we saw is there was a lot of different school districts that were checking boxes saying that they, were doing what was right and necessary for school safety. And we did find out in certain instances they were not doing that. There has to be some oversight and accountability. It is really important to have oversight and accountability. And obviously at the core of House Bill 3 is to make sure we have somebody looking over there to make sure it's done. So very proud of those.